Oh my. The 𝕱𝖕 are surely smiling on me this day. This one regenerates magicka, and this one even fortifies it. Good to know. Oh, hello there, adventurers. Please, do sit down and have a drink on the house.
Yay!
You may have overheard, but I was brewing a few potions.
Yes.
As I am trying to prepare for my next trip to a Dwemer excavation.
Whoa.
I'm very excited. I mixed a few ingredients, like this one. And then a few minutes later, a potion of magicka regeneration was made. Alchemy really is amazing. And a lot of fun to do as well. Did you know there was a time when it would be considered high treason to pick one of these little things without permission from the Emperor himself? Nowadays, it is not quite the rarity that it once was. And despite the cold climate here in Skyrim, people were successful at improving the grape's survivability throughout the ages, although it came at the cost of its flavor, unfortunately. Used to be quite the exquisite ingredient for cooking and baking. Nowadays, it is not quite as tasty as it once were, I'm afraid. However, it is still a great alchemical reagent. Alright, we're getting sidetracked again. My apologies. In any case, alchemical reagents, such as these 𝕲𝖃 grapes, cannot all be mixed with any other one either. You have to be knowledgeable of which ingredient to use with another. You have to study each ingredient separately, and sometimes even taste test them to ascertain whether they are or can be used accordingly or not. It can be, well, quite disgusting at times though. Ugh, look at that thing.
No.
So perhaps if you are a more of a, shall we say, oh no, this is icky kind of person,
Yes.
you could pay someone to test them for you, if you have the money, of course.
Oh.
Or influence. People happen to be a lot less, shall we say, against the idea of such a prospect if one has a bit of charisma.
Oh.
Luckily for you, alchemy can solve that as well. Well, I could teach you a thing or two about alchemy, but perhaps you would be interested at learning a bit more about the ingredients and flora that one might be fortunate enough to find within the borders of Skyrim.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
You see this right here? I have the one and only Herbalist's Guide to Skyrim by 𝕬𝖃. Every beginner herbalist's first book, or at least it should be. Allow me to read for you all a bit about the delightful history and folklore about some of Skyrim's common and uncommon ingredients from the perspective of Miss Thalia herself. Here we go. Those avoiding this northern province due to claims of barbarism or concerns over climate are doing themselves a disservice. In fact, Skyrim has a wealth of materials that every alchemist would do well to avail himself of. I have traveled extensively throughout this land, and here are but a few of my findings. The bleeding crown. The caps of these mushrooms do indeed appear like they are smeared with blood, though it is often hard to see in the dark and damp places in which they grow. Not uncommonly found in Skyrim, but their abundance is countered by the difficulty in acquiring them. As any experienced herbalist knows, the darkest of caves often conceal far more than mere mushrooms alone, such as those appalling frostbite spiders that we read about last time. Nonetheless, these potent fungi, when combined with certain powdered antlers, produce a mixture rendering one quite susceptible to poison. Their usefulness is also quite apparent when mixed with lavender, creating a substance highly resistant to magic. And you'll have a lovely breath as well. Next up, the death bell. Folklore abounds about this flower, found in the swamps of Hjalmarch. Some stories claim it grows where unfortunate deaths have taken place. Others insist entirely that it grows first and then lures unsuspecting people and animals to their doom. I have found no direct evidence to support these stories.
Oh.
Indeed, I found the flowers difficult to locate at all. And while it is most well known for its use in poison, it would be remiss to overlook that the blooms of the death bell are very effective in mixtures for boosting one's alchemy skill. I should try that sometime.
Yes.
Let's see, next one I should have around here somewhere. It's a bit difficult to see. Here we go. The dragonfly. A surprising number of insects survive in Skyrim's climate, many thriving in the lower southern areas of the province, such as Riften, which is where I found this little one. Dragonflies can be found in a great many places, however, and while catching them can be a daunting prospect, the reward is well worth the effort.
Whoa.
It was beyond the scope of my research to determine whether the orange and blue dragonflies are fully different breeds or merely simple color variations. But through experimentation, I found that the orange dragonfly, when combined with the very hardy barnacles found along the coast, transfers some of their flighty nature, giving the herbalist some, well, very nimble fingers. 𝕱𝖑𝖑𝖔𝖕 should have used some of them, if you remember who he was. From the... Okay, let's move on. Let's stay on topic, shall we?
Okay.
Next up, a little bit more of an elusive item, which I happen to have right here. The hag raven claw. The claws of a hag raven are best obtained in shops, to which I agree. It is simply not advised to collect them oneself. These creatures have traded in their humanity for access to powerful magics, and the transformations they undergo infuse their entire beings with some element of that power. Ingesting the powdered claws makes one more resistant to magic, but an especially curious property of the claws is revealed when mixed with snowberries, which can often be found in Skyrim's higher elevations. I've actually found quite a few of them when I went up to the College of Winterhold. A place I wouldn't recommend you go unless you have an interest in magic, because, well, let's just say there isn't much to find out there, truth be told. Moving on. I found myself capable of comprehending enchantments that I had believed to previously be all too complicated before. After ingesting the mixture, I seemed to connect the dots almost immediately, and I had passed the knowledge on to several court wizards who were grateful for the knowledge. And now, going on with a ingredient of which I had shown you all previously, the 𝕱𝖈 grape. It is my understanding that although cultivators in Skyrim were successful in improving the fruit's survivability, as I said, it came at the cost of flavor, which I also said. No longer it is quite the delicacy it once was, and yet, growing amidst the volcanic tundra of East March, it is still immensely useful for concocting potions. Mages value it highly, as it can be combined with simple garlic to enhance the regeneration of magicka, which is actually the potion I brewed when you all first stepped into my tavern this morning. And while no longer against the law, picking these grapes in larger amounts is best kept to oneself. Probably because otherwise, if a really evil mage were to see you, they would probably think, no, they're stealing my ingredients. Just a heads up. The next ingredient though, it is even smaller than the dragonfly. Let's see, where's my magnifying glass? Ah, there we go. The Luna moth wing. As with the dragonflies, I was taken aback by the number of butterflies, moths, and other insects that manage to thrive in Skyrim. The lunar moth is especially beautiful. Its thin, almost ephemeral wings seems too delicate to hoist anything into the air, giving them an almost magical appearance. Indeed, that sense extends to the properties they exhibit when crushed and distilled, an action I admit was difficult to perform at first. No matter my resolve to discover all that Skyrim has to offer, these beautiful creatures are simply and almost a waste to mill down. While they can be used for creating poisons that damage magicka, I feel that would be a waste of their potential. Do not be alarmed though, when if the wings are broken down almost completely, they appear to almost disappear under your mortar and pestle. That very quality makes the wings quite effective in potions of invisibility. Now that's a potion I love to use. For good intention, of course. Anyway, moving on. The tundra cotton. A plant we all know and love. Well, most of us anyway. As we know, not all Nords are savages, wrapped in animal skins, howling at the moon, and singing songs of grandeur about their ancestors that they may or may not even have been related to. Let's be real. There are a wide variety of fabrics worn throughout the land, thanks in no small part to the stubborn tundra cotton plant. It soaks up what rain it can in the plains west of Whiterun and blooms very frequently. In fact, every time I run past from Solitude to Whiterun, I always see at least a few batches or two. Very helpful, actually. I'm surprised that more people come looking for them. More for myself, I suppose. When it does not exhibit any of the more striking alchemical properties, it is a staple in potions for not only fortifying magicka, but for resisting spells as well. I wonder what about the plant itself allowed it to adapt as well as it has here in this cold climate. Finally, last but not least, the nightshade. The name and shape of this plant are known to all, long understood to be one of the more potent components in many poison. The average Nord keeps his distance from the bright purple flowers nestled among its darkened leaves. It is exceedingly effective as a pure poison, but can also be combined with other compounds to stiffen joints as well, and is thus favored amongst those who wish to disable their opponents in battle, and can be found coating the blades of many of the more unsavoried characters in Skyrim. And there you have it, my dear listeners. A little sneak peek of the more common and uncommon ingredients of Skyrim. Miss Thalia really ought to extend her encyclopedia a bit, however, because there are still many, many more alchemical reagents to be found in Skyrim, all from animal parts from elusive and terrifying creatures to the saltwater pearls buried underneath the waves of a ship traveling between Solitude and Solstein, and probably other destinations as well. But alright then, I believe I should be done soon, and when I am, I shall be departing. Thank you very much for listening, and please, if you need anything else, my companion will take your order. Ta-ta.